expanded mind and the narrow mind. Okay. And I think you probably all kind of have an idea where that's going. The narrow mind, and I'll tell you in a minute, I'm going to tell you where this is all coming from. But the expanded mind is the oneness mind. Narrow mind would be separation mind. Expanded mind is unity, is a unity mind. A narrow mind is a divisiveness mind. It sees division. Michael shared this quote to me from Facebook this morning, and I want to read it. I'm going to read it verbatim because I think it's worth it. It says, unifying doesn't necessarily mean that everyone agrees or that we'll all be happy campers. It means that they will be civil to one another, respectful in their disagreements, state their cases, and may accept some compromise for the good of the whole. Our country has done this over the years, and we can return it again if we will choose to do so. I want to read that again. Unifying doesn't necessarily mean that everyone agrees or that we'll all be happy campers. It means that we will be civil to one another. We will be respectful in our disagreements, we'll state our cases, and we may accept some compromise for the good of the whole. Our country has done this over the years, and we can return it again if we will choose to do so. And I was thinking, this just came into my mind here, was I think about our board, our church board, your board of directors, and how many times in our meetings, and this is one of the things I tell people coming onto the board, is when you agree to come on to a board of a Unity church, you are agreeing to you're taking a fast track to your spiritual growth. And why is that? Because so many people think that when they come onto a Unity board, everything is going to be kumbaya. We're all going to get along. We're all going to agree because that's what we do in Unity. That's metaphysical malpractice. No, we're human beings. And what Unity is about in being on our board is about we have disagreements. We have strong points of view. I don't want to choose that air conditioning company. I want this air conditioning company. I don't want the barn to look like that. I want the barn to look like that. Oh, trust me, we have lots of varying opinions. There's 6 board members and myself makes 7. 7 different opinions. But our teachings tell us it's okay to disagree. It doesn't make us not love each other. It doesn't make us not respect each other. We love each other for who we are and the child of God that's within every one of us. And we end up making concessions and compromising for the good of for the good of the greater whole. In this case, for the good of Garden Park Unity Church. That's a perfect present example of what this quote was saying. And then take it to the bigger picture of our country, bigger than that, our world. Children come into this world only knowing one. Think about that. All we know when we're born is it's all about me, right? Think about a newborn baby. They have no idea other than their own needs being met. They resist counting because they only know one. And us well-meaning adults, we teach them over and over and trick their minds into seeing more. Then as we get older, we search and search for ways to get back to the one. Crazy, isn't it? But isn't it true? I have to, I get the opportunity to look every single day at separation versus oneness thinking for myself, because it's a slippery little slope, isn't it? Edgar Mitchell, he was an astronaut. Many of you know that name. And he was very famous for his Apollo 14. That was another moon landing. And he wrote this, and it was from the moon when he was looking at Earth. He said, you develop an instant global consciousness from out here on the moon. International politics looks so petty. You want to grab all the politicians by the neck and drag them 250,000 miles out and say, look, you son of a gun. He didn't use son of a gun. He used another word. But he wanted to drag, if we could all go 250,000 miles up away from Earth and look back. Here's an even better, I love this one, when he did a mission with Russian cosmonauts, when we did a combined effort. And he and a Russian cosmonaut, there's a picture of the two of them looking out the window at Earth. And the quote from that says, from this perspective, both of them agreed, from this perspective, how can we see ourselves separate? How can we see ourselves separate? Expansive consciousness. And then when the mission comes back to Earth, we easily can get back into narrow consciousness. And then we start seeing the separation again. Why is it? Sometimes, so many times in meditation, I'll ask you to see yourself going above your house, your city, your state, your United States, going above and taking you out into the universe and to looking back at planet Earth. And why is that? Because that's where we can easily see the oneness. From the higher perspective is when we can see. It's when we come back down and looking through this narrow-mindedness, this narrow mind, that we only see our way. A lot of what I want to talk about today starts with a book that was recommended to many of us. Ron and Rhea Wills recommended this, our Florida people right now. And it's Einstein and the Rabbi by Naomi Levy. And she is a Jewish rabbi. And she was one of the first in the Jewish religion to be received as a woman rabbi. And this book, you're going to be hearing me quote this probably quite often over the next two more weeks. But what I want to talk to you about today, she shares a quote from Einstein that he wrote about our relationship to the universe. And just listen to this. This is from Einstein. Our human being is a part of the whole called by us the universe. We are part limited in time and space. Basically, in other words, what he's saying there is that human beings are a part of the whole universe. And the universe literally means, I've said this many times, universe means one verse, one song. We are all part of the one song. Einstein goes on to say that he experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings as something separate from the rest. A kind of optical delusion. Think about that. Don't we all do this? Of his consciousness. He says, the striving to free oneself from this delusion of separateness is the one issue of true religion. Not to nourish it, but to overcome it is the way to reach the attainable measure of peace of mind. End of quote. This idea that we are separate is a delusion, and we are a part of the greater whole. Unity's been saying that for ages. Einstein quote sounds to me like something from a Zen master. This is also quantum theory. It's about the quantum field that he's talking about. He didn't know that word for it, but that's literally what Einstein was talking about. Everything is energy and everything is connected by the field. So many of you I know already know this and already study this. Everything is energy, and everything is connected by the field. You know, this field is a place where we only see partial truths. We cannot see the smaller particles in this field. You know, I often use the example. How does this little device work? Is it just magically going through the air? No, there is a web that connects this from the cloud to here, back to the cloud. There is, it's everywhere, but we can't see it. We can't physically touch it. But they are showing this more and more. We tend to dwell in the smallness. We at times are petty with jealousness. You know, our anger, think about it, our anger blinds us. Our past hurts blind us. Our desires and ambitions blind us. And at the same time, okay, so all these feelings bring us back into that narrow mind. And at the same time, there is this expansive mind, a mind that is available to us all the time as well. This expansive mind is the ability to see unity. This expansive mind is the ability to have eyes with compassion. This expansive mind gives us the ability to be grateful for the smallest of things, like we did in meditation, being grateful for just the small things. When we enter the state of the expansive mind, obstacles that have been keeping us frozen or stuck melt away. Any of you experienced that? When you enter the state of expansive mind, okay, I'm just going to just ask you a question. All right. Be honest with yourselves. How many times in the last few months have you caught yourself spending a lot of time in the narrow mind, in the separation consciousness, getting hooked by the news media, getting hooked by the political arena, getting hooked by Facebook posts or Facebook friends, and I can't believe they've posted something like this. Think about at work. Think about the coronavirus. Think about the daggone it, I didn't get in to get my shot yet. Every time I register, the slate is full. Think about how often we go to that narrow mind. And think about how did you get yourself out of that? How did you do it? We've all been experiencing this. I know it because we're all here having this human experience. How do you get yourself out of it? How do you get yourself out of it when your life situation has turned upside down and you don't know if you're going to make it through it? How do you get yourself out of it? How did you get yourself out of it? by going to like-minded people, people who are holding the expansive mind and reminding you how to do it? Or is it emailing or calling the prayer line? Calling 1-800-NOW-PRAY? How do you get yourself, when you get caught, hooked by that, how do you get yourself back to this? You know, the expansive mind sees possibilities. The narrow mind sees things as impossible. And I know that there are a few of you that have had some real, let's call them opportunities, to how to figure out how to dig yourself out of this hole, this mental hole, you know, that we can get ourselves into. There are people that still are calling me saying, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to get my mind going right again. You know, Joyce Meyer, she's an evangelist, a TV evangelist, definitely a minister and an author. She said there are 3 things to help develop an expansive mind. So if you're wanting a note taker, you might want to get your pen and paper. Otherwise, you might listen to this broadcast again. 3 things to help develop the expansive mind. 1, set your mind and keep your mind on higher things. So you have to set your mind and then keep your mind on higher things. Things that bring you joy. Things that make you smile. And sometimes that may mean that you need to get your journal out and just write these things, because it's ego wants to get you hooked back into the narrow mind. Oh, poor me. Oh, how am I going to get out of this? And then you think about your friends, or you think about somebody you love, or you FaceTime somebody that you know is going to make you smile. You've got to develop. So set your mind and keep your mind on that. Things that bring you joy. Watch funny movies. Go watch reruns of I Love Lucy. Oh my gosh. Whatever it is that brings you joy. Number 2, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by what? I see the lips moving. You got it. The renewal of your mind. Be transformed by the renewal of your mind. That means pick up some materials and read something positive. You might want to consider right now unfollowing negative posts, people who post negative things on Facebook. Doesn't mean you have to unfriend them, but you can unfollow them. You don't need to see that stuff right now. If you're struggling on this narrow mind, you've got to protect this. You can't set that mind and hold it if you're going to keep looking at negative stuff that's going to trigger you. So be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Number 3, clear out the junk of your mind and fill it with affirmations, great music, the daily word, positive podcasts, meditate. Meditate. Clear out the junk of your mind. I was talking to Dot Kemper just yesterday, and she's cleaning out another drawer or another closet. I don't know how she has any more left to clear out, but she is always clearing out. That is something that when we do that in our physical world, That literally is helping to shift something in our mental world. And it's really about clearing the junk, the garbage that we store up there, the past. Oh my God, that's the garbage in our mind too, hanging onto the past. There's a quote that I found. It says, the quality of life is determined by our mind's response to the circumstances of our life. It is not determined directly by the circumstance. I'll read that again. The quality of our life is determined by our mind's response to the circumstance of our life. It is not determined directly by the circumstance. This little baby sure controls our emotional status, doesn't it? And who is the only one that can control this? Is ourselves. And Joyce Meyer just gave us 3 great steps. Listening to the Unity broadcast, whether it's Unity of Garden Park's broadcast, any of the Unity churches that are out there broadcasting, are going to be helping you to hold and set your mind rightly, as Charles Fillmore would say, Catherine Ponder. See it rightly, and it will be so. I'm going to say that again. See it rightly, and it will be so. The narrow mind sees things as separate. The narrow mind says we're limited. The narrow mind says there's a victor and there's a victim. The narrow mind says there is an us and them. The narrow mind is disconnected to our soul. This book is so focused on a new way of looking at the soul and how when we connect with our soul is like, I think Sandy did a talk. Reverend Sandy did a talk on the North Star, or setting your compass. And that's basically what the soul inside you does. It is an internal GPS that will guide you where you need to go. But the problem is we pay attention to so much other stuff out there and so many other opinions and getting advice from people, when just getting quiet, spending more time in the quiet, in the pause and the pray, there you will connect with your soul, and your soul will guide you to where it is that is for your highest good, because your soul is all about expanding. Your soul does not like this feeling of constriction. So when you're feeling constricted, your soul is screaming, help, I need to get connected back to you. I need to get connected. The expansive mind is connected to our soul. And our expansive mind recognizes the soul in others. Here lies unity consciousness. And I'm going to close with something out of this book. And for those of you, I know quite a few of you have this book. It's page 26 and 27 in the book. And she talks about, I'm just going to read this. So it's going to touch your heart, I'm sure, because it really teared me up. I had never seen a representation of the soul that resonated with me. And then I visited Prague, and I entered the ancient Prinka's synagogue in the Jewish quarter. In one display case, there were paintings and drawings made by children, and it's a lovely exhibit until you realize where those children had created that art and what became of those innocent souls. The children created those paintings inside the concentration camps during the Holocaust. Yes, even in hell, the soul can create beauty. My teary eyes moved slowly from drawing to drawing, and then I stood transfixed before me one piece. I could not move. It was a simple line drawing of a man in striped pants. He had 2 eyes and a dot for a nose and a mustache and a hat. No mouth, no arms. It seemed an expression of helplessness, no way to speak, no arms to reach out. All along the entire torso of the man, there was another drawing. I looked more carefully, and it was a picture of the same man in miniature taking up lodging within the lines of his body. What was the child who drew this picture trying to convey? What was this man within the man? So I want to make sure you understand that. This child drew a picture of a man in striped pants with 2 eyes, a dot for a nose, a hat, no mouth, no arms. Inside the drawing of the man, from here to here, was another man, identical to the larger man. This work was titled Soul and Body. A little 10-year-old boy in a concentration camp captured the soul. This little boy was murdered in Auschwitz at age 11. His name was František Brozen. František asked us to see the soul with new eyes. I think he was saying the soul is the me within me. The soul is the me within me. The me that we are given by God. The me that cannot be taken away even when we are imprisoned. The me that cannot be taken away even when we lose our lives. From the artwork of a little 10-year-old boy in a concentration camp, doing a drawing that has changed many people in this world and has awakened many people to realize the soul is within you and it looks just like you. And it was given to you by God the day you were born. You are a spark of that divinity. And with it, I want you to just remember that statement. You are the soul. It's the same. It's in you. And you were given it the day you were born, probably before then, maybe at conception. You were given that soul. Our job is to connect with that soul. You know, we hear it all the time. The answers lie within, right? What is it at the end of The Wizard of Oz? Glinda the Good Witch says to Dorothy, "You've always had the power to go back home." And Dorothy goes, "I did?" And she goes, "Yes. It's in those little red shoes." Power, those little red shoes, represent the faith in you, represent your soul. So go nurture your soul this week. I love you all. And I'm so glad to be with you. And I know that we're going to do our love offering. And I'm trying to remember, we're going to do the love offering and the prayer for protection first. And then we're going to scroll through the announcements. And I'm going to briefly tell you about some things that are very important. And I want to just say namaste. Namaste. That the Christ in me truly sees and honors that Christ's presence within each and every one of you. Namaste.